Hi, Chad here from Purple Collar Life. Today I'm going to be talking to you about these three tubes. Before we get started, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below. You click it once and it changes from subscribe to subscribed. And then beside it, the bell notification after you click it will show a ringing, and that'll give you notifications anytime we publish new videos. So these three tubes, there's a lot of differences between them. And they're in order smallest to largest. They happen to be in order oldest to youngest, newest, and probably easiest to most difficult. So this one, the Connely 56, is our oldest tube. It's a one-man tube. It does have a connection point where the rope just goes up through in two areas. It's got an outer layer that covers the tube, and this tube is almost embarrassing to say, probably almost 20 years old. It does have some wear, but it's held up really well. Advantages to this one: really quick to inflate if you're on the water. It doesn't take long at all. It's easy to ride in for any age. You can ride drone on it. You can lay across it and hold on. It's got handles here at the front to hold on if you're laying down on it, like this. You can sit in it with your butt down in and hold on the sides. And it's a stable tube, but it does skim well. So when you go around a turn, this will skim you around the edges pretty quickly. So it feels like a fast ride. It's a pretty smooth ride unless the water's rough, and a good tube overall. Like I said, pretty old. Probably couldn't even find this today if you were looking for it. Second tube, a little bit younger, but not by much, probably 15 years old, is a Rave Razor Duo. And this has been a fan favorite for us. It does have the better latching where the rope can go down or up through the hole first and then around, so it's a more secure tow point. I like to go so that I'm pulling up on the anchor point, so I put my rope up through and then around so that it's pulling up. This is a two-man tube. Obviously you can only sit in it. It's not made for laying on, but two people sit in. There's handhold for both people to share in the center and the outsides. One of the things that we really like about this tube, it's a little bit kite-like, so it skims really well across the water, and we like the Rave Tail, so that catches water as you're going and shoots a tail of water up behind you, kind of like a wave runner. And that's refreshing because if it is a hot day, that keeps a constant mist on you and you can reach back and direct that water. So this is the two-man tube.
That is more stable than this one.
And Jennifer says this is more stable than the one-man tube. We've only dumped a couple people out of this. This one, the least stable, maybe the most, I'm not sure, but definitely the newest, though it doesn't look like it. You can see it's quite faded. This is still available. It's an Airhead Super Slice 3-man tube. And though it says 3-man, Mackenzie and her friends would say that it's almost impossible to hold on with 3 people. Someone's always falling off the edge as you go around turns. It does have some nice pull-up points. So when this is laying in the water, it's difficult to get on, but there are points you can pull yourself up to get back up onto the tube. This one takes obviously longer than the one-man tube to fill up, but less time than the two-man tube because it is less in height and less in air volume. This one really skims across the water really well, probably the fastest around turns, and probably the most difficult to hold on just in general. You're always laying down on this one, never sitting. And this one too has the better connection point where you can go up through and then around to anchor it. And this does have a drain at the back, so water that gets inside the outer covering does drain, but there is no exposed hole that exposes the tube on the inside, whereas these two, you can see, both have an outer covering but an exposed tube, and this one also has drains on the bottom. You can see the wear from it. Just in the last week we've started to tear the cover off, but there are drains, so while you're riding it drains out, and then when you tip it up when you're done, it drains out. This one does have a drain, but doesn't drain very well. It's right here. It doesn't drain while you're riding. It would actually pretty much fill up with water, but when you pull it out, it'll drain that way. Another few points about the Airhead 3-person. Like I said, it is the hardest to hold on to. It is the most jarring of them, so Mackenzie and her friends would tell you it jars you a little bit, and it's difficult to hold on to. And as you're holding on, since you're laying across it, a lot of times you'll get like a rug burn on your elbows from sliding and trying to hold on. And the other thing they say is they wind up more sore after riding this one for a long period of time than the other two. The other two are a little bit more comfortable to ride.
I think this one's the safest.
Jennifer adds in that the Rave Sports Razor, she believes is the safest of the tubes to ride on. She feels the most comfortable riding on it herself and when the kids are in it. And this has been a great tube all around. I don't know if you can still find these or not, but great tube. So you'll see some video I'll put either now or at the end of 3 people tubing. And we had 3 people, Mackenzie and 2 friends, camping with us this weekend. The 3-man tube isn't really a 3-man option, so we tried to combine and have people riding multiple tubes. We tried doing the 1-man and the 2-man together. That, even with equal length ropes, does not work out great because the 1-man tube skims faster across, I think, than the 2-man tube, and you get rope crossing, and they're always bumping into each other. Even if you try to keep them separated in the wake, when you go around a turn, they bump a lot. So it becomes problematic. This tube doesn't play well with any others. Doesn't matter if you have the 1-man or the 2-man tube with the 3-man tube, it just doesn't play well with any of them. It's always bumping, always sliding more than either of these two. So final thoughts if you're thinking about what type of tube to buy for your boat. The 1-man tube is fun and relatively safe. This 2-man seated tube is probably the safest. It's still a good ride. You do get air at times, but it's very stable and you feel like you're safe in the tube.
Although you have dumped people out twice.
I have dumped people out of the 2-man tube twice. The first time we told them we've never dumped anybody, there's no risk, and unfortunately we dumped them. And then the 3-man tube, like we said, not really a 3-man tube, but is the most for the thrill seekers. This one gets the most air, skims across the water, and is the roughest ride, and the most after effects of feeling sore and like you were really on a tubing ride. So just an idea of what the differences between 1, 2, and 3-man tubes and seated versus drone. So hope you like this video. Click that like button and hit subscribe.